thought about this kind of requirement, this kind of need to be here with that show of force?
So this is an underground illegal nightclub, okay? And what was happening inside was significant drug trafficking, prostitution, crimes of violence. We seized a number of guns in there. We had active duty service members who were running security at the club and involved in some of these crimes. And in fact, we had over 100 illegal aliens inside as well, and those over 100 illegal aliens were taken into custody by ICE.
Active duty service members helping as security here. Can you elaborate on that at all?
So it's an ongoing investigation, but we had over a dozen active duty service members in the club tonight, either as patrons or working as armed security.
How many of those were detained, and what are they facing right now?
So Army CID was one of our partners out here, and they're going to work with us on what the next steps for those active duty service members looks like.
You mentioned that this is a drug trafficking operation. Can you elaborate on any drugs you found, the amount, any charges you anticipate that could come out of tonight?
So as you may suspect, when the cops showed up at the door, most of the drugs hit the floor. And we did find cocaine. It looks like some pink cocaine or the Tusi. And there was a little bit of other drugs, but we haven't had time to test everything. But there were dozens of small packages of drugs that they've recovered so far that I have personally seen.
How got tipped off to this location?
This has been a long-term investigation by DEA and a number of our federal partners. And so we've been working on this underground nightclub for a number of months, doing undercover, surveillance, a lot of other work to identify what's going on here. And again, months-long information about drug trafficking and prostitution happening inside.
So you said there were 300 federal law enforcement. How many people were actually inside of this underground nightclub?
We estimate over 200 people were inside the nightclub when we came here tonight. And so that's why we needed such a large force. Anytime you're dealing with that many people, we want to do it safely, and that's what we did.
Because the nature of the nightclub, are all of them facing charges? Everyone inside?
No, they're not. A lot of people were turned away. As I said, over 100 went into ICE custody. A few people went on state arrest warrants. They had outstanding warrants. And we actually have a few other operations pending right now across the city. We're waiting to determine if there'll be other arrests from those.
Did you guys face any immediate threats going in, or was everything just a smooth operation going in and out, making sure everything was taken care of?
Anytime there's 200 people, there's going to be a little bit of concern about safety, but overall it was a safe operation.
Was TDA present here?
In our investigation, we have noticed TDA, MS-13, and I believe Hell's Angels in this club. I don't have the information about whether those members were there tonight, but we're still working through a lot of that because we have so many people in custody. We're working through a lot of the information about who's who.
Jonathan, after the raid in Adams County back in January, you received criticism because you didn't have arrests. You talked about the cops went in, the drugs went to the ground. Are you expecting to be criticized here, and then how do you address those critics now?
So DEA is going to continue to work to keep our community safe, no matter what the criticism is, right? We are not going to accept drug trafficking and prostitution in our cities, and so absolutely Colorado Springs is waking up to a safer city this Sunday morning.
Can you talk to us about the local assistance and how that all played out?
Absolutely. We had over 10 federal agencies in support of this operation, but we also had Colorado Springs PD and El Paso County Sheriff's Office supporting us.
Two more questions.
Obviously, Tony mentioned too the one in Adams County that also involved quite a bit of people who were here illegally. What do you say to anyone's concern or vantage point that these look like immigration operations happening under DEA operations?
These crimes go hand in hand, right? When we find drug trafficking and prostitution, unfortunately, we're finding a lot of illegal aliens. 200 people in this club, a lot of drug trafficking happened, weapons, prostitution, over half the people inside were illegals.
Jonathan, you talked about the investigation is ongoing, but talk to us about the significance of active duty military being investigated for drug-related crimes at this location.
Yeah, it's obviously concerning to have active duty military involved. We're working with our partners at Army CID on that piece. obviously where we are here in the Springs, there's a lot of military bases here, so it's not necessarily surprising, but we're going to take that very seriously.
What's the message?
The message is we're not going to stand for this criminality in our city.
Real quick, can you confirm if those active duty were related to Fort Carson?
I cannot.
You want to
How
thank
proud
our
of your
local
team
partners.
are you?
That's all, folks,
Oh,
for
okay.
the questions. Just wrapping up.
Just the last thing I'll say is appreciate all you guys coming out here, and we just want to give a big thank you to the 10 federal agencies and El Paso County Sheriff's Office and Colorado Springs Police Department for sending all these officers out here to make us have a successful operation tonight. Thank you.
This is something else, and this video goes on and on. This is 3 a.m. Sunday morning, Colorado Springs. In the end, there were about 300 people inside, about 100 said to be illegal arrested. Over the weekend, massive multi-agency raid at this underground nightclub. Rob Murphy is the principal deputy administrator of the DEA, which led the operation. And Rob, good morning to you. Nothing good happens at 3 a.m. I want to read you the president's post on X, and I want you to tell us everything we need to know. Here we go. Big raid last night. Some of the worst people illegally in our country, drug dealers, murderers, other violent criminals of all shapes and sizes. And judges don't want to send them back to where they came from. If we don't win this battle at the Supreme Court, our country as we know it is finished. It will be a crime-ridden mess. Make America great again, end quote. Rob, take me to Colorado Springs. What happened? Why the raid? How was it carried out? What was the net result?
Good morning, Bill, and thank you. Yes, 3 o'clock Sunday morning, this club was well known to law enforcement. We had numerous complaints over the last 2 years, violence, everything, drug trafficking. We knew what was going on there, and we expected to find mostly illegal aliens inside the club. So there was a planned investigation for over a month. DEA did surveillance, controlled buys, everything else to develop what we needed. We knew that there was going to be armed personnel inside, security personnel who were actually active duty military. So in the planning of this, we have a pretty dangerous operation. We expected anywhere from 200 to 300 people in that club. There was over 200. We showed up pretty strong, all of our law enforcement partners, DEA, every federal agency, a lot of state and locals, and we made sure that we were able to contain safely everybody in there. You know, not everybody was in there doing illegal things, but the majority were. It resulted in about 115 illegal aliens that we've identified so far, and there were 17 active duty military, some of which were working at the club as armed security.
Rob, this could have gone sideways. It's 3 o'clock in the morning, dark of night. Your men and women show up armed, and you don't know what's inside. How many members of TDA were arrested, or other gang members that were illegal?
We're still working on the exact numbers. I know we've identified at least one Sinaloa cartel member. There were definitely MS-13 and TDA members. We're still working on the exact numbers. You're absolutely right, though, Bill. This was a potentially very dangerous operation. When we went in, somebody unknown to us sprayed bear spray trying to prevent or hinder us from doing our operation. As you can see in the video, people ran in every direction, especially the people that are in there illegally had nothing to lose. They were going to try to do everything they can to get out of there. We knew that there was armed active duty military in there providing security. That gave a level of caution, and that's why we showed up with the president. We had over 300 law enforcement personnel all working towards making this community safe. And from an tactical operational standpoint, it could not have gone any better.
Wow, how'd you keep it quiet? I wonder, because sometimes the word gets out and things leak. Let me read what Derek Maltz said, acting DEA administrator, said Colorado's ground zero, some of the most violent criminals in America. The command and control for TDA and the entire United States of America is right here in Colorado. Why Colorado? How do you answer that?
You know, I don't know. I can't answer that. I mean, listen, they're all over the country, and it's ground zero where you live if you've got them there. So our job in law enforcement, we've been tasked of getting these people out of the country. We have enough homegrown criminals. We don't need to import any. And we, since January 20, law enforcement is working day in and day out to get especially the illegal criminal out of the country. It makes it easier for us, thin the herd, and we can get back to doing, making the community safer and working about the ones that are here legally.
Seems to me that the Douglas County Sheriff, Darren Weekly, cooperated in a significant way.
He did, and
is that right?
He did, and he was very vocal about it. Yeah, he did, and he was very vocal about it.
Sir, thanks for coming on. Rob Murphy.